He cannot hire anyone. He cannot fire anyone. He cannot approve a single dollar. And yet, a few years later, the company is making decisions exactly as he intended. The CEO has never even heard his name. So how did he do it? Not through authority, through the ideas the company uses to decide what is normal, efficient, and necessary. This is conceptual power. It means shaping the system before anyone makes a decision inside it. And the same mechanism can shape institutions, countries, civilizations, even choices you believe are your own. To see how this works, imagine a software company with 1,000 people. You already know this picture. Now, put one man at the bottom of it. Call him John. His title is something like Senior Assistant to the Assistant Office Manager. The exact title doesn't matter. That is the point. John moves from one department to another, then to third. He takes on the routine work that nobody else has time for. That is how you get access to everything without anyone noticing that you have it. And while John does the boring work, he watches something beyond his job. He watches how information moves, from sales to development. He sees who signed the decision and who actually made it. After a few years, John has something no executive in that building has. The executives see their own column, from top to bottom, very clearly. John sees the seams between the columns. And every real problem in a large organization lives in a seam. The development process wasted 3 weeks in one place. A decision in finance quietly breaks the workflow in support. And nobody connects the two. The people who could connect them are never in the same meeting. John is not smarter than the executives. He simply has a wider view. More precisely, he sees the parts that nobody owns. But a map is not power. Plenty of people can see exactly how their organization fails. What turns the map into control is the next move. And that move is much smaller than you would expect. He wants the thing itself to work differently. So one question sits at the center of it. From where are you standing right now? With no authority at all. How do you move the information state of a system so that it has to start working differently? The method is standard. By now, John knows who is who, so he builds relationships that have nothing to do with the org chart. He's sitting with the director of the department at a bar. The director has a problem he cannot solve. It has been weighing on him for months. John sees the solution. More importantly, John sees that if this man takes one specific step, the chain of events that follows will move the whole system in the direction John already chose. So John asks, "Have you tried solving it this way?" To the director, it's a new idea. He thinks it over. He calls a meeting. They implement it. Then John looks ahead. That change will collide with the way another department works. At that intersection, in about 2 months, there will be a management conflict. So John goes to the second director. He says, "They're about to do it like this. Your process is built like that. If it lands the way it's written, the two of you will crash. Let us align it now." The two leaders meet, they coordinate, and the conflict simply never happens. That is the whole move. Give someone a solution to a problem they already own, then connect two groups before they collide. And because John's advice works, and because he never tries to take anyone's job, people start pulling him in. Nobody cites him. Everyone who uses his idea presents it as their own. At the top, the CEO and the board may not even know John exists. Why does this work? A CEO can tell people where to go. Usually he cannot tell them how to get there. John can, and he also knows if they get there or not. He doesn't control what people do. He shapes what will look like the obvious thing to do. Now, the definition costs you nothing because you have already watched it happen. A concept is the answer to one question. How are we going to live with each other? Inside the company, it sounds smaller. How do we work together? And what counts as a good decision here? Someone answered that question once. Everyone after them works inside the answer. Conceptual power is two things at the same time. First is the power of that answer over everyone living inside it, including the people at the top, who are usually the most convinced that they are choosing. Second is the power of anyone who can see the answer clearly enough to change it. Notice what is missing. No title, no budget. That is exactly why you cannot find this on a chart. And the company is only the small version of it. John leaves the company and opens a consulting firm. Now he can work on several companies at once: contracts, frameworks, training programs, reporting systems, restructuring. Then he does one thing that looks strange, but is not. He doesn't become the CEO of his own firm. He appoints an executive director. He puts other people in the visible roles, and he takes the title of advisor. Formally, John disappears. The firm runs on his model and his methods, but you don't see him. Then it goes up one level. Soon, those companies are faster than the institutions that regulates them. So the institutions start hiring him too. You have seen the real version of this. ISO 9001 is a management standard. It's a private standard written by a committee. A large buyer requires it from its suppliers. Then it appears in every supplier contract. Then it becomes a condition in public tenders. At no point did a parliament vote on how your supplier documents his processes, and yet he documents them that way. The systems begin adjusting to each other automatically, with nobody giving an order. By then, hardly anyone remembers who started it. The process keeps running, and the source becomes invisible, because the result became everybody's normal, and normal has no author. Everything I have described so far is a capability, and a capability has no direction of its own. The same map that allows John to make a company fair can also allow somebody else to make it unfair. Same mechanism, opposite results. This next part is the only thing that separates the two. Without it, everything I just showed you is dangerous. John can redesign the company so that the responsibility is clear and people are treated fairly. A different man holding exactly the same map can redesign it so that nobody outside a small group ever sees enough to argue. He can define success in a way that serves that group. He can write rules that look efficient on paper while removing one at a time the moments when an ordinary person still gets to decide something. So this is not intelligence, and it's not efficiency either. A system can become extremely good at producing harm. A government can become very good at managing its citizens, while not one of those lives gets better. That means the interesting question was never only who understands the system. The real question is, what kind of human life does the system produce? Can a person still see the consequences of his own actions? Or has that been arranged out of his view? Or, in the shorter version, does it make people useful without making them free? That is the only thing that gives this level a direction. Everything else is just capability. So, take the shape you just watched and put it on something bigger. Now, look at the country. You were taught 3 branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. Take the first one and ask one question. On what basis does a legislator invent a law? Not the procedure, the basis. One legislator votes one way on a tax. The man sitting next to him votes the opposite way. Both of them are completely sincere. Where does the difference come from? It comes from the ideas already sitting in their heads, put there over 20 or 40 years, through family, school, university, and a party, and whatever they read on the way to work. So, above the branch that writes the laws, see the thing that decides what the writer will consider obvious before he picks up the pen. Ideologies. And they are plural on purpose. Nobody hides them. But every ideology is just a package. And inside that package is an answer to the same question. How are we going to live with each other? Same shape, one size up. In the company, you could point at John. At the scale of a country, there is nobody to point at. The answer was already there before anyone alive was born. And none of this is new. Around 1080 BC in Egypt, a man named Herhor was high priest of Amun at Thebes. Ramesses XI had the crown and the monuments with his face on them. But Herhor ran Upper Egypt. So, who holds the conceptual power now? That is the question everybody asks, and it's close to the least useful one. This level doesn't run on appointment. Nobody elects anyone through it. It runs on understanding, which means it's open. John reached it from the bottom of an org chart, and he needed several years and 1,000 people around him to see the seams. There is one system where that access already exists. You are inside it all day. Every department is visible, and nobody has to invite you to the meeting. It's you. That is what this channel is for. The script society is running on, one mechanism at a time. Next time, the 6 instruments that actually govern a society, ranked from the weakest to the strongest. The weakest one is the only one most people ever argue about. See you there.